Hello friends, good evening. Welcome to Mission Possible by BK. This is Bharat, a chartered accountant by profession, and we are covering JAIIB paper 2, that is accounting and finance for bankers, and we have started with the accounts module B. So module B has been completed. Now we will enter into module C, which is related to your final accounts. So far we have learned all about the basics of accountancy in terms of journal entry posting, BRS, trial balance, rectification of errors, and in our yesterday's video we have learned about the concepts of bills of exchange, promissory note. So that was all about your basics of accounting. Now we will move a bit deep into the next further chapter of accounting, which is called as final accounts. Final accounts is simply all your profit and loss and balance sheet put together in general is called as final accounts. So after you have made your journal book, you have posted your ledgers, you have prepared your trial balance, the final step is preparing the profit and loss for the company and the balance sheet for the company. This entire process of preparation of the financial statements of a company is in general called as final accounts of the company. So in this chapter we will first start with the trading and profit and loss account. So in this video specifically I will be covering trading and profit and loss account, and in the next part I will be covering balance sheet, because this is a lengthy topic and I do not want to dump you with each and everything in this single video. So in this video we will first cover the trading and profit and loss account, and next we will move on to the balance sheet. And in this entire module we will not only be covering final accounts, we will be also doing ratio analysis and also the final accounts of banking companies. So for banking companies the concept is the same, but the format and other things are generally defined by the Banking Regulations Act, so we will even cover that as well. So before moving on to the trading and profit and loss account, we will first learn a simple definition about balance sheet. Already I have conveyed this multiple times, but just as a matter of theory we will learn this and then move to trading and profit and loss account. As you know, balance sheet is nothing but, the name itself suggests it has to be balanced. That means your assets and your liabilities should be balanced. Both should have the same number. Your assets should be equal to your liabilities. So that is what the equation of a balance sheet is all about. And then term capital. Capital is something which the owner of the business contributes while starting a business. So if I am starting a business with a capital of 5,000, then this is called as the capital of the company. While dealing with balance sheet, I will explain in detail the journal entries, but for now you just remember the theoretical aspect of the definition. And liability, in balance sheet there are two parts. One is the liability, another is the asset. Liability has a credit balance, asset has a debit balance. Liability means something which we owe, so something which we have to do. That means it is like a burden for us. Simple example, loan taken from a bank, it is a liability because we have to repay it. Accounts payable, that means we have to pay to some people. Similarly, any kind of liability which we are liable to pay simply comes under your credit side of balance sheet, that is the liability. Same is the case with asset. Asset is something which we own or which we have the right to receive. Simple example, cash or bank balance, it is an asset because it is something that we have. Similar case, bills receivable, that means we have to receive some money from some person, so it is an asset for us because money has to come in, so it belongs to me and hence it is an asset. Plant and machinery, because I purchased it for the future benefit of an organization and it belongs to me, and with that plant and machinery I will generate revenue. So assets are things of value owned. That means something which I own or something which I have to receive. So this is the general definition of asset. So one simple concept is asset is equal to liabilities plus capital. Now here I would not like to touch upon this topic because this is something which I intend to cover in balance sheet part. So for now we will ignore this and I will cover this in your balance sheet part as well. Nothing to worry. So we will just first learn with trading and profit and loss account, because that is the first step, and next is something which we have to do with balance sheet. So the first step in the preparation of final accounts is trial balance, which we have already covered. Trial balance is nothing but the balances of all your ledgers. So what I have told you in yesterday's video, we have multiple ledgers for different accounts, isn't it? For salary account, we have a ledger. For rent account, we have a ledger. For telephone, we have a ledger. For electricity, we have a ledger. So all the balances which are appearing in this individual ledger will be transferred to trial balance, trial balance. So trial balance is nothing but a statement of debit and credit, which gives the description here, and then it has your debit balance here, it has your credit balance here. So all your ledger balances should be transferred to trial balance, or it is nothing but transferring to profit and loss. It is one and the same. Okay, in the end the ledger balance should be nil because it will be moved on to your profit and loss account. That we will learn now in some more time. So trial balance is something, you know, we have already seen. So it will have debit, credit, and the description. So this is the ledger account. Cash means debit balance, so the amount will be shown in debit side. Inventory is an asset means debit, so it will be shown on the debit side. Vehicles is a fixed asset means debit balance, so it will be shown on the debit balance. Same is the case with all the accounts here. Fixtures and furniture is an fixed asset, hence it will be shown on debit side. Accounts receivable means something which we have to receive, so it is an asset means debit balance. Credit card payment, it is a liability, we have to make the payment, so credit, liability. Accounts payable, liability, we have to pay, there is a burden. Bank loan, we have to pay, liability. Sales is on the credit side, because what is the concept of your nominal account? Credit all incomes and gains, so sales is an income, and hence this will be shown as your credit balance. Okay, this will be shown as your credit balance. Purchases means an expense. So till now we have seen the balance sheet account, so these are all your P&L accounts. So you should distinguish between what is an expense and what is a balance sheet item. Purchase, it is an expense, yes, because it comes under your P&L category. So debit all expenses, credit all income. Advertising, it is an expense because you have paid for it and it is a expense in nature. We have learned in our previous chapter, you know, what is that? Capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. Capital expenditure will go to balance sheet, revenue expenditure will go to profit and loss account. Revenue expenditure are those expenditures the benefit of which comes to you only for 1 year period of time or lesser than 1 year period of time. Advertising we generally spend it for a shorter period of time. That means pertaining to that financial year only we account this, isn't it? We don't account for future financial year profit and loss expenses. So hence these are called as revenue expenses and it will be shown in profit and loss account. Hope you identified the difference between a capital expenditure and a revenue expenditure. Wages also for that period only you will pay, not for the future period, and the benefit also comes to you only for that period of time, that is for 1 year period of time. Similar is the case with rent, electricity, all these are expenses. Expenses means P&L debit all expenses, credit all income, your concept of nominal account. Owner's capital means liability, so it will be shown on the credit side. Total 2,77,000 here and 2,70,000 here, both should match. If it doesn't match, that means there is an error. Then we will go to the concept of rectification of errors. If it is a one-sided error, we will use suspense account. If it is a two-sided error, we will cancel the wrong entry and post the correct entry. Hope you remember that. Yeah, now we will move on to the concept of profit and loss and trading account, or trading account and profit and loss account. So friends, I will just explain to you this with the help of a flowchart, as I always do, so that it becomes easy for you to understand. So in general, if you see the requirements of Schedule 6 of Companies Act 2013, your profit and loss and balance sheet should be in vertical format. That means your profit and loss will be in vertical format. Earlier we used to have it in horizontal format. That means debit used to be here, credit used to be here, and we used to show all expenses on debit side and all income on credit side. Okay, this was your horizontal format. Now as per schedule 6 of your Companies Act, the profit and loss and the balance sheet should be shown in a vertical format. So now how your P&L looks is, it will be mentioned as like this. It will start with revenue first, amount will be here, and then it will show expenses, amount will be here, and then it will show profit before tax, amount will be here, it will show tax, and then profit after tax. This is the format as per Schedule 6 of Companies Act. This we will be using for the sake of explanation because it becomes easy for you to understand debit or credit and also the horizontal format. But the actual format is this, friends. This is how your P&L and balance sheet should also look. Even in balance sheet, for our explanation sake, we are taking it in horizontal format. That means we are showing liabilities on credit side and assets on debit side. But the actual balance sheet looks something like this. First it will have liabilities, then it will have assets. So the total of liabilities will shown be 100 here, the total of assets will be shown as 100 here. So both should match. So this is nothing but the vertical format. So both are one and the same, just the format presentation is different. For our learning purpose, we will use this horizontal because it becomes easy for you to grasp and understand it. Okay. But the real format is as per Schedule 6 of Companies Act, which is a vertical format. You are no longer allowed to use this horizontal method of P&L or balance sheet. This is just for your explanation and knowledge. So I'm just deleting this. Now we will start with the concept of adjustment entry. So before that, I will just tell you how initially a trial balance flows into a profit and loss account. Trial balance is just a statement, friends, ledger balances. Now if you have to prepare a profit and loss or trading account, first there is something called as trading account. This is just for explanation, friends. In actual, there is no separate account for trading. Everything is recorded in your P&L in the format which I have shown earlier. All will come under only one account, which is your P&L account. There will be revenue, there will be expenses, there will be net profit. But in earlier days, there used to be something called as trading account. Trading account is everything related to your basic production. Okay. It is related to your basic production. It is also called as direct activity. Direct means which is directly related to your production, which is the core of your business. So in trading account, what used to be there used to be two aspects, same, debit here, credit here. In credit, just like P&L, trading account is also a nominal account like your P&L. All expenses should be debited and all income should be credited. But the check here is only the expenses and income related to production should be shown here. That means all your direct expenses and income, all your direct expenses and direct income, that means related to your production, that should only be shown in your trading account. Whereas in P&L account is related to all your indirect expenses and indirect income. That means everything other than production. So what will be there other than production? Yes, there will be there other than production. Admin expenses, isn't it? There will be admin staff, isn't it? HR expenses, finance expenses, sales expenses, interest income. So these are all something which is not related to your production, isn't it? It is not related to your production. So these are called as indirect expenses. These are called as indirect expenses. Indirect expenses are those expenses which are not related to your production. which are mostly related to something other than production, like admin expenses, HR expenses, finance expenses, your rent for admin building, your salary for finance staff, your salary for HR staff, your electricity for the admin building. So all these are recorded in your P&L account, whereas all the expenses related to production are recorded in trading account. That means I'm giving some examples here. Purchase of raw materials, okay, because it is related to your production. Only if you purchase raw material you will have sales here, isn't it? And then you will have something called as wages of laborers who work in the production department. Salary of people who work in the admin department or other than that will come under P&L, because it is an indirect expense, not directly related to your production, whereas laborers who are working in the production department are directly related to the production, hence it comes under your trading account. Same, electricity which is consumed for production. Remember friends, all these are related to your trading account. In exam, question can be given as like this: electricity total expense 1000, and they may give you a proportionate basis, like there are total 100 staff, 30 are working in production and 70 are working in admin. So this 1000 you have to proportionately calculate based on the number of people, or they can even give you the consumption. That means 30 units have been consumed in production department and 70 units have been consumed in admin department. Anything, you have to calculate the amount 1000 into 30 by 100, and only that much amount you have to put in trading account, and balance you have to put in P&L account. Just because it is an electricity, simply don't take it and put it into P&L. You have to classify it according to the nature. That means whether it is related to trading account or it is related to P&L account. So that is what sometimes the question comes to you in exam. But nowadays, because in P&L format, this distinction is not required. Everything comes under one common category. There is a format for P&L which I will show to you after we cover the entire concept of trading account and P&L. At that time I will tell you that it's all one consolidated statement. No longer we have the need to bifurcate all this, but this one you need to know for your exam point of view, because questions can come in your exam related to your trading account and P&L account, and they might confuse you. So that is the reason I am telling you here. Similarly, your sales, okay, sales will come under your credit side because it is an income. All these are expenses, all these are your income. And at the same time, there is something called as opening stock and closing stock. Opening stock will come under your debit, closing stock will come under your credit. So why this is coming here is because you need to know the concept. So there is something called as opening stock. So assuming that opening stock is 200, closing stock is 100. So what does this mean? It means you have consumed 100 this year in your production activity, isn't it? Isn't it the meaning? Hence, you have to show the opening stock on the debit and closing stock on the credit, and the difference between these two implies the amount of stock you consumed to produce the product. So that is the reason why opening stock and closing stock comes under your trading account, because it is directly related to your production. Closing stock comes under your credit, opening stock comes under your debit. So the difference between this obviously will be adjusted in your trading account. It's one and the same. You can either reduce the opening stock and closing stock and show the amount here, but the general presentation is opening stock is shown here and closing stock is shown here in a trading account. But in the latest P&L account, as per schedule 6, all this is shown netted off. That means your opening minus closing stock is calculated and the net amount is shown as an expense. It is one and the same, friends. It just implies the logic here. You need to understand that the difference between the two is nothing but the amount of stock you consumed in producing that product this year, and hence it is an expense for you which is related to your production, and hence you have to show it in the trading account. So these are the broad categories of expenses which come under your trading account. There may be purchase returns and there may be sales returns. So these and all are your adjustment entries. Now I will just quickly tell some 10 to 15 examples. Based on that, we will solve the trading account, so that it gives you a better understanding. So this is what related to your trading. The main thing which you need to understand, trading is related to production, directly related to production. P&L is other than production, your admin, office, finance and other related expenses and income. So I'm just deleting this. So now we will prepare a trading account, but I will give you some examples and you please try to solve it while watching this video. Please solve it along with me so that it gives you an understanding and also you can know where you are going wrong. Okay, so I'll just first write down the questions for you so that then we will solve the answers. Okay, there is something called as opening stock. This is just the question, friends. You can skip the next 30 or 1 minute or 2 minutes so that you can avoid this in the meanwhile. Sales 1.7 lakh, freight 500, freight means transportation, carriage inwards 500, sales tax paid 20,000, wages 1,000, return outwards 7,000, purchases 1,60,000, return inwards 5,000, octroi duty, in some states there is octroi 3,000. So this is the question. For this we need to prepare a trading account. So in trading account, first we will have the description, we will have the amount, and then the description and the amount. Okay, this is debit, this is credit. Okay, in trading account, debit side expenses will come, amount, and on your credit side I'm just distinguishing this, income and amount. You are not supposed to write this, income and expense and all, but just for your clarification I'm giving this. So now first thing that we need to see is, what is this? Opening stock. Opening stock, what did I tell you? Where should it come? It should come on your debit side, and closing stock should come on your credit side. Okay, so opening stock we put 10,000. Then sales. Sales is an income, right? So sales we put 1,70,000. Freight. What is freight? Is it an expense or income? Freight is an expense. In general, freight is nothing but the transportation charges incurred when you purchase. So if it is related to your purchase, then you have to show it in trading account. If not, then you have to show it in your P&L account. Assuming that this is related to your trading account, we will also show freight here in your trading account. Okay, it is a direct expense related to your purchase. So freight 500. Then carriage inward. What is carriage inward? Carriage inward is also the same. When you purchase something, you have to pay the transportation charges for it. So because the goods are coming into your factory, it is called as inwards. So there is not a straight away transportation charges. Sometimes they tilt you with this kind of words. Carriage inwards means coming into your factory, so it is related to your purchase, and hence you have to show another 500 as carriage inwards. And then you have sales tax paid. You just need to remember that sales tax is not an expense, because there is, this is again a concept of indirect tax. Generally the indirect taxes, nowadays sales tax is not there, it is GST. When you pay a GST, then what happens is that you get credit for the GST. That means you need not show it as an expense, because that comes to you as a credit and that becomes part of your balance sheet. So the GST payable and the GST receivables becomes part of your balance sheet account, and hence because this sales tax paid, now assuming that this sales tax paid is included in this sales, if it is given that it is included, then we have to reduce the sales tax 20,000. okay, we have to reduce, because sales tax also, if it is added, then it is not an income. Why it is not an income, I will just tell you again in some more time. Because in sales tax what happens is, you are generally charging, I'll just open a paintbrush and explain that, because so that your doubts gets cleared. When we are raising an invoice, generally the goods sales value will be 100 or 1000. okay, what do? We add 18% sales tax or GST, so it comes to 180 and your total value 1180. Now what he says that the value given there includes sales tax. You must remember the fact that this 180 tax which we are collecting is not an income, because this 180 we have to remit to the tax department. It is not an income for us. We are just collecting it from our customer and remitting it to the tax department. We are just acting as a mediator between the tax department and our customer. Hence this is not an income. It should not form part of our income. And similarly, when you purchase something at 100 plus 18% you pay tax 18, it comes to 118. So here you must remember the fact that just like we have considered 1000 as the income, the cost for you is 100. Why not 18? Because here you are paying tax. Here you are receiving tax and remitting it to the tax department. Whereas here you are paying tax, and this tax will be allowed as a set off against your sales. That means at the end of the month, you will take the total ledger of your GST paid versus GST received. In this case, GST received is 180, isn't it? We have received it from the customer. At the same time, GST paid is 18 rupees. We have paid it while purchasing. So net amount, what is it? Net amount 162. So 162 is what we need to remit to the tax department. These kind of adjustments are called as input credit set off. Input credit set off. It is not an expense or income, because in both the cases at the month end you have to calculate the total value of GST payable, calculate the total value of GST receivable, and if any amount is payable you have to remit it to the tax department, and if any amount is receivable then you have to apply for refund and the tax department will give you that amount. So this is the concept of sales tax or GST. It is not an income or expense. It is a balance sheet adjustment. I will tell you when we prepare the balance sheet. For now this is the concept. Hence what we are doing in this case, we have to remove the sales tax because it is not an income. Hope you understood. Next is wages. Wages, expense, debit. Return outwards. What is that return outwards? Return outwards means something is going out from our factory. So we have purchased something and it is going out from our factory. So what should it be done? We have purchased something and it is going out from our factory. So here if you see, there is something called as purchases. So purchases is an expense. You write 1,60,000 here. Return outwards means purchase return. What you will do? You will simply negate it. That means you will simply reduce the purchase returns from this purchases. Return outward, you have to understand the meaning of that. Return outward means something is going out from your factory. When will it go out? When you have purchased something, then only you can return now. So it is called as return outwards. Same is the case of opposite side. Return inward means you have sold something and again it is coming back into your factory. So that is the meaning of return inwards. So the next point is return inward only. I have knowingly put these terms because these kind of questions come in your exam, and that's why I wanted you to be strong in these terms also. Return inwards is the same. 5,000. Someone, you have sold 1,70,000. 5,000, the product quality is not good. So he has sent it back to you. So simply you have to reduce it from your sales. Return inwards 5,000. Octroi duty, it is an expense. Okay, octroi is nothing but an expense. Sometimes in some states they have an normal duty kind of thing which is called as octroi. Example, I guess Maharashtra. So it is a direct expense related to your purchase. So it is shown in trading account. And eventually closing stock, assuming that the closing stock is 10,000. So where does closing stock come? If opening stock comes here, then your closing stock comes 10,000, right? So this is how it is worked out. So you just calculate the total of all this, and the profit whatever comes here, I'm just not calculating here to avoid wastage of time. So assuming that the profit comes to somewhere around 50k, so 50k profit is transferred to your P&L account, because the next step is P&L account. Okay, so that is why transferred to P&L. Whatever might be, if profit comes, it is transferred. Even if loss comes, it is transferred. How does loss come? Your purchase and expenses is more than your sales value, then loss comes. So there is also an equation for your purchase, sales and all, which I will explain to you next. Sometimes MCQs come in that aspect as well. So I will explain even that now. So you should understand that trading account is something which represents your gross profit on loss. That means it is not the net. The profit here in trading account goes to your P&L account, and then all the admin expenses are deducted, and then comes your net profit. So trading account gives you the gross profit and loss, not the net profit and loss. Okay, this is first thing you should remember. Second thing that you should remember is carriage inwards. What did I tell you in my previous example, previous trading question that we solved? Carriage inwards is something when we purchase and the goods come to us, so we have to pay the transportation. Because it is directly related to our purchase, this comes under your trading account. So it is a cost of purchase. That means it is nothing but your cost of purchase. Purchase can include your cost of transportation as well. At the same time, you have to remember that carriage outwards will go to your P&L account. So this is a check which you need to remember. Why? Because carriage outwards is related to your sales. What did I tell you when we started with the P&L explanation? Sales comes under your indirect expense category. So carriage outwards means when we are selling the goods, the amount of transportation that we pay is coming under your carriage outwards. So because this is related to your selling and marketing expenses, it will come under your P&L account. it is related to your selling and marketing, and selling and marketing is an indirect expense, isn't it? It is not related to your production, and hence this will come under your P&L account. Please understand the difference, friends. When we purchase something, it comes in your trading account because it is related to your production, because only of that purchase we are going to produce something. Only if we get the raw material, we get to produce something, and hence it is directly related to your production. Whereas carriage outwards, that is when we sell the goods, the transportation charges come under your selling expenses, because it is not related to your production, isn't it? Production stops when your sales is done. Anything after that will come under your marketing or will come under your selling expenditure. So anything after production should be taken to indirect expense category, and hence it should go to your P&L account. This is one important point which I want you to remember. In the exam, question comes just to confuse you, but you need to know where to put carriage inwards and where to account carriage outwards. Okay, and then something which I told related to return inwards, return outwards. So return inwards is sales return, return outwards is purchase return. Inwards, that means only if we have sent something out, it will come inside, isn't it? What is something that we send out? It is nothing but sale of your products. So this is related to your sales return. This is related to your purchase return. Both of them are deducted from the respective purchase and sales in trading account. And then gross profit concept. Gross profit is nothing but your net sales minus cost of goods sold. Okay, so this is the formula for gross profit. Just a minute, friends. Now we will understand what net sales is. Because this is the formula for gross profit, we need to know what net sales is. Okay, net sales is nothing but your total sales minus sales return, if any. Okay, this is the formula for your net sales. And what is the formula for cost of goods sold? It is shortly called as COGS. So the formula for this is, first thing, cost. What is the cost? All your purchases, right? And then all your direct expenses which you book to trading account, direct expenses, plus bracket open, opening stock minus closing stock. So what did I tell you in my previous few minutes which I explained the trading account? Opening stock minus closing stock is nothing but the amount of raw materials which you consumed that year for your production. Hence it is directly related to your production and should go to your trading account. So this is the formula for your cost of goods sold. Simply adding up all the debit side of your trading account and reducing the closing stock. So this is the formula for your cost of goods sold. And purchases, net purchase is nothing but total purchase minus purchase returns. Okay, so this is the formula for net purchase. So the most important one that you need to remember here is the cost of goods sold. Adding up all the expenses on the debit side of your trading account, purchases plus expenses plus opening stock minus closing stock. So this is the formula for your cost of goods sold. Now we will just solve a small problem on this cost of goods sold concept, because sometimes this can come as an MCQ in your examination. So we will just see a small example, and with that we will close this part 1 related to your trading, and I will explain the profit and loss account in the next video, so that the video size is small and I don't want you to remember everything in a single video. So once this trading account video is completed, next video will be on profit and loss account, and the other video will be on your balance sheet. So here we will just quickly solve one example related to your cost of goods sold. Okay, so now assuming that the question which I am giving is, assuming that opening stock is 2 lakh, purchases 3 lakh, closing stock 1 lakh, wages 10,000, freight 5,000, carriage inwards 10,000. Okay, now we have to calculate the cost of goods sold. Okay, cost of goods sold. So what do? We will add the opening stock 2 lakh plus purchase 3 lakh, right? And what did I tell you? Add all the direct expenses which come under your trading account. Wages 10k plus freight, assuming that it is related to your purchase transportation, 5k plus carriage inwards. Carriage inwards is related to your purchases, and that will come in your trading account. Carriage outwards is related to your sales. It will come as part of sales and marketing expenses in your P&L account, because it is not directly related to your production. So this is carriage inwards, and hence it will come under your trading account. So this is the total of all your expenses, and then minus closing stock, because opening minus closing is nothing but the amount of goods which you have consumed in this year. So this will be your cost of goods sold. Okay, so you can just add it up. I am not doing the totaling. So this is generally the formula for your cost of goods sold. Sometimes they ask this type of questions in your exam, so you must know how to calculate the cost of goods sold or cost of sales, right? So hope this video was good enough for you in order to understand the concept of trading account. In our next video, we will see the concept of profit and loss account. We will see what are the adjustment entries, what are the closing entries that we need to pass, and after that we will move on to balance sheet. So please understand the concept of trading account properly before moving on to your profit and loss account. So please do subscribe to our channel and join our Telegram channel, the link of which is given in the description below. Please share this among your friends who are preparing for JAIB. And you can always ask any kind of questions in the Telegram group, and I will be always open to answer it. Take care and stay safe. Thank you very much once again.